Hey, what's up guys? It's Joe from GadgetryTech.com, and today we're reviewing the Rosewill Cullinan. It is a mid-sized tower that supports motherboards ranging from mini ITX all the way up to extended ATX. So if you have a lot of graphics cards or a crazy motherboard you're looking to use, this case will do it. Now what's nice about it is it's not a huge case as far as the outside dimensions go, but because of the design you can still fit a lot of massive components inside. So it gives you a lot of capability for its overall footprint. So we're going to unbox this and take a look at it up close and kind of go over the benefits and features and everything it has on it. So first thing you can see is it's incredibly shiny, and that's not because it's a high polished metal. It's actually tempered glass, both on the front and back. So there's a warning sticker right there that is tempered glass, to be careful. It's not plastic or something cheap, so it's got some weight to it. Manual's inside, but we're going to open it up to look at the accessories. So let's take a look at the front. Okay, so if you look at the top of the case, the arrangement's really nice. You have two USB 2.0 ports, two USB 3.0 ports, your reset button, which is not a big metallic, mechanical push. It's you can feel a little click. Power button is the same thing, pops in place. Headphone jack, microphone, and then this is your fan controller speed. There's low, medium, or standard, and high. The switch actually feels really nice. I'm sure you can hear it. Let's go. It's a little bit different feeling going from low to or medium to high, but everything else feels really nice. This cover up top, is actually a magnetic cover, which is common even on their less expensive models. So hopefully it doesn't rattle or become an issue, but it's really nice as far as being easy to service, because you just slap it into place after you clean it down and you're back in action. Alright, so this isn't a normal case, so we don't have thumb screws on the back like we usually do to take the side cover off. Instead you have these 4 side screws, and naturally there's some rubber behind these because it is really glass. It's not, again, it's not plastic, so that'll protect the glass from cracking when you tighten it. So you can make it nice and tight, it'll hold it in place, and you don't have to worry about breaking anything from the pressure. So they're already torqued down quite a bit. The thread feels really nice. It's a very fine thread, so once you break the seal, it actually comes out really easily. You don't feel it snagging or catching on anything. So I'm going to pull this off slow. Alright, so this is a smart design. So again, glass, very heavy. There are little, I don't know if you can see it, but there are little guides, if you will, that stick out on the case, so the glass actually slides over that instead of just resting on the case and you try to line it up with your thumb screws. You put it on that first, and what's really cool, let's just try it to put it to the test. Line that up. There we go. And once you've done that, let's see here. It'll actually stay in place even without the thumb screws, which makes it really easy to work on. So let's remove this now and actually look inside. Okay, so looking inside the case, you're going to notice things very quickly. For one, it's clean. There's not, well, one, the motherboard standoffs are already there, so that makes it super easy and fast to install everything. The power supply enclosure is here, so that's going to keep your wires looking really nice, and I'm sure once we pop the back cover off, we'll see how easy that is to work with. One thing that you're going to notice, it's kind of alarming, I guess, to some people, not sure if this is important or not, there are no trays or mounts for any front USB drives, or front DVD optical drives. Basically your 5.25 inch drive that you typically have 2 to 4 of on most cases. It's completely clear. And a lot of that is so you can have a very high-end cooling system, or utilize the factory installed system, which has 3 fans up front. These are, going by the looks of it, they look like 140 millimeter fans. They all light up in blue, and there's also a blue one in the back. So you have amazing air cooling. Everything just flows right through, no problems. Or you can take this off and put a giant front mount intercooler system, or water cooling system, and a top mount water cooling system. So you have options there. This cover right here is removable with this thumb screw. Let's take that off. So ease of serviceability, this is where you're going to run all your motherboard cables, so your SATA plugs, things like that. That's going to make it so when this is all lit up and you look inside, it's going to still look very clean. You shouldn't see any wires, and if you do water cooling, it's going to look pretty amazing. So let's flip it around and we'll look at the back now. Okay, so the back's pretty straightforward. You have punch outs. That's what that little Phillips screw is. You can actually use a screwdriver to help break it free. But these are for if you went with an external liquid cooling system that won't fit inside. You can run the tubes out, motherboard input tray, I/O tray, rear fan, and the screws, again, this is a different design. So you have the screws to hold your graphics cards in place. It's actually on the outside. So first you take apart this plate, and once you've done that, let's see, apparently it just slides back out of the way. So you put your graphics cards in, there are your screws, so it's not just pressure, you do still screw it in. Then when you have your graphics cards mounted or any upgrade peripherals, just slide that cover back on, and we're going to put that screw back on as well. So that's kind of cool because it has the cleanliness of just having that plate to go over everything. So when you, again, look inside the case, it's one less thing that you have to look at that's an eyesore. But you still have the security of having individual screws for each slot. Okay, so now that we have the back cover off, or the opposite side panel taken off, we're going to go through and look at everything that's included inside. All of these cables obviously go to the front tray or front panel that we showed you earlier. That includes your Molex adapter, which is probably used for your fan controller. It's very likely it is. Front USB 3.0, there's your USB 2.0, your motherboard pins for power, reset, hard drive light, etc. And there's your HD audio plug for your headphone jack and microphone. So what's kind of nice, it's very easy to service because of this panel, the way it's designed. You can, if you upgraded your fans, you can utilize the factory cooler, and it's nothing proprietary. So that's kind of important to note. Now, one of my favorite things about this is the triple 2.5-inch drive panels that are upgrade slots that you can do. So you have these little thumb screws you can remove. Again, all done by hand, super easy. Slide that up, mount your solid state drive, slide it back down, put the thumb screw in, run your SATA cables underneath, and you're in business. Now, what's kind of nice about this, for my particular build, I actually dual boot with Windows 10 and Mac on a separate SSD because I use OS 10 for some of the video editing, so I can have both SSDs here, and then I have the two full-size 3.5-inch drive slots on the bottom. So I'm going to try to remove this cardboard here. I'm sure that has hardware in it. We'll look at that in a moment. This is another nice feature. This is actually rubber grommets that hold it in. So if you're installing a hard drive, there's no tools. You simply bend this back, you snap the drive into place, slide it in. Let's hear it click. Very well made. Same with the top slot. Yep. So the consistency is there. And then again, run all your cables underneath. So this will let you do your large storage drives, your high performance drives. So obviously, as you can tell, 3 2.5-inch drives, 2 3.5-inch drives, total space. Before I go into this hardware box, this is naturally where your power supply goes, so you slide that in. Plenty of depth there, which is good because some people buy a 1,000 watt or a 1,200 watt power supply. They have the same size opening, height, and width, but they're extremely deep. So having all that space back there is going to be nice not only for a big power supply, but also for wire management. Let's go through here now. So, pack of screws, right? So you get zip ties, more thumb screws, which is the same kind that you see holding the cover on, which is nice. Motherboard screws, hard drive screws, should you use them. And it looks like, let's see, yeah, more motherboard standoffs. It's pretty much everything you need to replace it. And then I'm trying to see if there's any fan screws. I don't see any screws for case fans, so you do have what you need already for what's installed, but if you do buy additional case fans for it, or you go with a liquid cooling system, make sure you use the hardware that's provided by that cooling system. It doesn't come with any black ones in this bag if you're looking to match the case. So keep that in mind. If your liquid cooling system or a fan system comes with clear or silver screws, maybe consider buying a pack of black ones on there if you want to keep that dark look. But overall, that covers the case. We're going to throw a power supply in here and start getting things mounted up, show you how it looks fully loaded. But thank you for watching this unboxing and review. Overall, for $200, it's definitely a high-end case. There's no flex. even without the glass in there on both sides, this is an incredibly stiff chassis. So that shows you how nice it's made. All of the edges are rolled, so there's no sharp edges. I don't have to worry about cutting myself anywhere, which is really good. And overall, like you said, it's not a huge case, but you can fit a huge motherboard and component video card setup as well, due to having no front hard drive storage. Everything is underneath. So your graphics card can literally go that long. I mean, they don't make graphics cards that large. So any graphics card you want will fit, and you should be able to fit two comfortably with more than adequate cooling. The only downside I'll point out is because this is tempered glass on the side, you do not have any side cool air intake. All of that air is coming from the front right now, and it's being exhausted out of this one fan. So I'd strongly consider a water cooling system for the CPU or possibly the graphics card to utilize that giant top radiator area. Or just keep in mind, if you have a card that runs extremely hot and it expels all of the air inside the case, it's going to make other components run warm. So if you don't want to upgrade your cooling system, maybe consider a graphics card that has what's called a centrifugal fan. That'll blow or suck cold air from the inside and exhaust all that hot air out the back, keeping the rest of your components cool. Overall, that's about it. So this is $199, the Rosewill Cullinan. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's a very solid case, and with real glass, it's definitely something unique. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, shoot me an email below or a comment, and we'll be happy to answer them for you. All right, thanks, and have a good day. Hey guys, so in closing, I actually built a computer using this case. I learned a few things along the way that I wanted to share rather than just do an unboxing and end it there. And there's also a couple corrections I want to make based off what I said earlier. So to start, I said it came with 140mm fans up front. They're actually 120mm, which normally are a little bit louder, but these are very quiet fans. Going into the fan switch, I mentioned that it was low, medium, high, or low, standard, high. That was mistaken. It's actually low, silent, high. On high, and I'll plug this in so you can see it light up, but on high the fans are full speed, the lights are on, everything's going, it's still very quiet. On low, I got a little bit of illumination from my top fan, which is an aftermarket fan. I added one to it. The fronts weren't lit at all, they just spun really slow. Back fan also spun slow. And then the middle switch actually shuts all of them off. So if you have a cooling system that's adequate enough and your temperatures are really low because you're just cruising the internet, you can actually shut off all the fans and make it silent. The only fan you'll hear at that point, which you can on this case because everything else is so quiet, is the power supply fan. So if you're going for a very quiet build, I recommend a very quiet power supply. So make sure you factor that in when you're shopping for it. Let's take the panels off both sides of the case. That way we can take a look at the components inside, and hopefully that helps you determine if this is the right case for you or not. Alright, so let's go over a few things that are in here. Now, this is fully loaded. I mean, everything I need to use the computer is here. I actually added a dual USB expansion card on the back. It just uses the onboard USB 2.0 header, so I can get a couple extra ports on the back of the case. I know it's a little unsightly, but I'm more about functionality. This is an Nvidia Gtx 770 made by GeForce. It's the WindForce edition. Got the G-Scale memory and everything. ASRock motherboard, 2-NIC 120mm cooling system, the Tower Extreme. So everything's hooked up, and as you can tell, there's still a ton of space. It's almost as if this space is wasted. However, the hard drives are here, so there's really no more compact way you could have done it. And this would look more full if you had an extended ATX motherboard, had a different cooling system, or even a larger graphics card, one of the newer ones that take up more space. This was really nice though. If I'll take this thumb screw off and you can see the inside of it. Hopefully it's not too tight without the screwdriver. We're going to use the screwdriver anyway. So if you look inside, that's covering up the motherboard power cords, the USB 3.0 header, the SATA cables, and the PCI Express power cord. So there's two tabs that lock in on the bottom. I'm just going to put those back in, and that'll help me kind of swing this thing back into place, and there you go. And I'll hand tighten it back in. And that about wraps up this side of the case. So we're going to pop the cover off the other side. I'll show you how that looks and explain a couple things I learned there, because there's definitely one part that I wish I did differently. Alright, so now you can start seeing how I kind of put everything together. So this little wire that's hanging down is actually for the CPU fan. I have a manual controller on the back because I didn't want to use the integrated one up front, just due to leaving those dedicated to the case fans. Two solid state drives that are mounted. Now I tried running this the CPU power cord underneath the tray because there's a little bit of a gap, but it didn't fit. So the wiring is a little tight. So if you have really thick cables for your CPU power cord, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle. You might have it a little bit more unsightly because you can go in through the inside instead. But it does make things a little snug. Power supply is installed. Now this is a Rosewill 850 watt power supply, the Capstone series, and there's about, let's say, 2.5 inches of space. I mounted the power supply before I plugged in the modular power cords to add all my components, which proved to be a little bit challenging to hook up. So there's two ways you can do it, in addition to the difficult way I chose. You can run the modular cables to it first before you install the power supply, plug in all the cables you know that you'll need, then just slide the power supply in. It is very snug top to bottom, and it'll actually almost scrape going in because it's nice and tight. But once those are pre-installed, then you can just organize the wire and it saves you time. On the other side of the case, and I'll quickly show you, you can always remove this rubber grommet and you can reach the power supply right here. So if you install it and you kind of forget like I did, you can pop this off and reach down inside with a nice light source, and that'll allow you to hook up all the cables that you need and run the wires accordingly. Okay. The dual hard drives are installed here. These are there's two 4 terabyte Western Digital Blacks there, so that's good for long-term storage. But basically that's what I learned. The wiring's a little bit tight. You have your fan controller cabling here, which does let you add 2 additional fans. The back 3 are pre-wired. I have the top one going to the rear fan that was pre-wired and installed. That way I can use this controller for all of it. And I added a Rosewill 120 millimeter fan up top, and that helps with additional cooling there. Okay, so now that we've covered pretty much everything about this case, the last step is to turn it on and show you what it looks like and sounds like. So the fan right now is set to low, not silent. The loudest thing you're going to hear is the power supply turn on, so let's fire this up. Alright, so there you go. So that's fired up right now. If I put it on silent, all the fans are turned off and all you hear is the power supply fan. Now if I go to high speed, there you go. You have the beautiful 120 millimeter fans up front lit up, and there are a lot of LEDs there. It's not a cheap LED system because there are obviously there's a lot of fans out there with LEDs. Some of them just do 2 or 3 LEDs to make the fan glow. This one actually has a whole array of them. You can see a nice glow coming through the side window of the case, and these front ones are so bright it does put a nice glow inside the case as well. One thing you notice, the reason why I stopped talking for a minute, even on high you can't hear a difference with the fans. They're very, very quiet. And that's what the inside looks when it's turned on. I know this is a video camera, so you can't quite get the full beauty of it in real life that you see in real life, but it still does look really nice. I think the blue is a good choice for this. It looks very modern. You can obviously modify the fans and put in whatever you want, but for what's pre-installed you get a really nice setup. The last thing I want to point out is the power light will light up in blue. The reset button actually lights up in red occasionally because the hard drive activity light is part of the reset button. So I thought that was kind of clever use of space without having a cheap little LED thrown to the side to indicate when the hard drive is going. Overall, that's it, guys. Again, this I was wrong when I first talked about the price. It is $149.99 on Newegg.com. That may change up and down, but as of the end of October, it's $149.99. This is a brand new case. I think the quality is excellent. The styling and aesthetics are very unique. How often do you see a case with tempered glass? So I love it. I build a lot of computers. This has been my favorite case so far. It is now the one I'm using. As you can tell, I decided to put my components in it. and I couldn't be happier with it. So if you guys have any questions, shoot me a comment below. Appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.